Okay. Should be going now. Confirm this. Yep. That's going. Okay. Forgot. Back in just a second. Why did the music stop? Okay. All right. So that's going properly. Everything over there seems to be proper. Okay. Now, let's see what we got going on. So, switch over to this now. So, I can see this going. Refresh this page just in case. Okay. So, today I happen to have some new foam going on, and this is recently purchased from Dollar Tree. I happen
You're
to.
Me.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to mute you. I'm streaming, so muting and deafening in Discord. Yeah. So I happen to notice the size of this, and I have a template from a D&D that I happen to have, and I noticed that it is approximately, template-wise, a 15-foot circle, or a 50-foot radius circle, I should say, so 30 feet wide. All right. Got a new box cutter, because I seem to have misplaced my green one again. We're looking for that, but we'll see how this works out. And what I'm aiming to do is cut this down, and then like I will be carving out the inside here to make a spell effect out of this. And this is something I've never done before, even in this, so let's do it this way. Let's get 2 inches in. Better way to do this to ensure 2 inch. I guess I could have marked it. have to tap it up like these anyways. So, by taking off a chunk, I'm going to have this to work with in the carving section. Then I'll have some blue foam for scrap. Now, what I'm thinking of is the ability Wall of Fire allows you to make it into a circle, but it's also a really big circle. You can choose to do smaller if you want. And I hope I don't cut out in the stream because I might lose power. But there's a big storm outside right now because of that. But what I'm going to be doing with this is I'm going to make, try and carve it out to where I keep the height on the edges here, and then bring it down to where the menus could be on the inside. And then it'll be a ring of blue fire. So if you want to give it some cinematic feel, if it's orange fire normally when it's a full-size circle, which is I do believe a 60-foot circle. I could be wrong on that. But when you condense it down, it might make it blue, or a certain character might have blue fire instead of normal orange. So, first thing, let's smooth this out a little bit. One try and mark. Okay. So I'm going to make sure that I have the height here. I want it to be about half an inch. From all of these little divots. Okay. I'm not sure if you can. Oh, you can. It's pretty good visual right there. So I put the dotted line around. I'm going to try and cut inward so that way it hollows this bit out. And then I'll shear down from there. So, take the entire way. so you can see if I can like it. Yeah, okay. Ever so slowly travel around, try to keep that width. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just sawing it by barely moving it just enough so that way it gives it that cutting motion. That way I don't move too much and it's like cut deeper than I want or cut further in the angle. And it's also going to give it a nice, almost roundish curve. Yep, and see there, I messed up because I wasn't paying attention. But I can fix that. Well, it's not going to be the exact way that I wanted it. Wasn't keeping my eye on the angle of my blade. I cut it at a bad angle. Pretty bad, actually. Away from where I wanted it to be. Yeah. Hey, I got a donut that's got a be able to make something else out of that. So if I hold it out, that's a nice big material for a bridge. There. And see, this is what happens when you stop paying attention to both sides and are just focusing on one. So debating how I want to do this. Guess I could make the top and not the bottom sitting out up here. I guess that works. Go the way of Bob Ross and call it a happy little accident. Well, hey, I might be able to use that for something else. That's an interesting shape right there. And now that it's thinner at the top, I'm still going to go a little further cutting into it so that way. And as always, if you guys happen to have any questions while I'm doing this, feel free to ask. Alright, I'm taking that out, and now I have a ring. Interesting shaped ring. Maybe I'll figure out something to do with that too. But for now, these are all just additional scraps. Okay. Oh. Just as a little side note, if you happen to get Dollar Tree things like this, these are in their swimming section. You put pool noodles through these to give them a connecting point. But that right there is a decent round object holder, whether it be a bowl or a decorative ball of some sort. Yeah, so right there you can easily set something down into it to make it a little nicer if you happen to like this color or the green, because I also have a green one. Keep that in mind. Now I might be able to use this for like a little river, sort of water. Cool. So, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and hollow out, now that I've got it about the thin thickness that I want it to be. I'm going to try and hollow out each of these without cutting through. So it just gives a little bit more flexibility, maybe, and make it slightly translucent. This is going to be a little bit more finer detail work. Because I also don't want to remove this bottom thick part right here. So I'm going to have to carve into it and then cut it out from the base so that way there's still a flat piece in there. So this is much more difficult than I normally do. That's what I want to do, so that's what I'm going to try. So in the faint attempt to make this a little easier for myself, when I'm cutting these inner ones to start hollowing them out, I'm doing a guide cut, just very shallow along the top, so that way I can see where I want to cut, and then I can spread it out a little bit, fit the blade into there, and then just slowly with those tiny saw motions push it in the depth that I want it to, being very careful not to force it too much so that way I don't cut all the way through, both for not wanting to ruin this as well as not wanting to cut myself. If done successfully, you have this little phalange on the inside there. And then once I get all the phalanges, I'm going to cut the inner bottom area to be able to remove it. And then I will do finer details after that. That is what I'm going to be attempting to do for now. And again, if you have any questions as I do this, feel free to ask. Try and make sure I keep tabs on the chat in case you do. So far I've got 4 of them. Little phalanges in there. Actually kind of interesting. If you happen to have a see-through glass orb or whatever it was, you can pull them down and them sticking out underneath it. I don't really have anything to be able to demonstrate that with, but it's an idea. have turning out pretty well from what I'm seeing so far. Here, I'll keep cutting those out. Storms are going, so hopefully the stream won't cut out. I apologize if it does, but if it does cut out, I probably won't reconnect. So, just so you're aware, if I suddenly disappear on you, I would see you next week. There's no telling how long my power would be out if I do get disconnected. Would rather than petition, but that's better. Can't be too much of a big deal. Alright, so that was the last of the these to carve out. There we go. Not too bad. Okay, got something closer. Alright, so all of these can be bent inwards. You potentially hold something in the center. That would have to be held down by some sort. I mean, you could get it in there and shove something in between, a piece of rope, or even put some super glue down in there. It drops to keep them into position. But I'm going to be cutting them out at the base. I'm gonna use the scissors for just to be a little safer. This. You can't really see it from your guys' angle, but I'm going to start this. Snip it out. For the cutting process, because there's half of them, you can see them already out. What I'm doing is I'm grabbing it, and then I'm pulling it down, and then I'm using the scissors from the underside here, and then finding where the base is inside the cut area. And there's a very tiny wedge zone down there. And just slicing straight across there. It's for as straight as I can. By doing that, I am cutting out the little fingers and leaving a nice little flat zone on the inside. So that's what's the pile of little phalanges. Could attach them to additional things. I might even be able to attach some on the outside, make these either pointier or I can tween to make them a little shallower. It would give it additional texture if I want. But at the moment, I think what I'm going to be utilizing this is either like blue fire or the wall of ice, which I need to kind of decide that right now, because I'm going to do the fire. I'm going to jagged up these edges a little bit more. If I'm going to keep it as wall of ice, then I can pretty much leave them how they are, just kind of fine point them out. So that way it'd be like a jagged ice shutting out from the ground. Because they can actually squish in like this, I wonder if it's possible to really invert it. That might rip it though. But you can bring it into a pretty nice, interesting shape on here. Because you can see the inside of that squishes down. Or I could do it from this side and they really expand. Ah, there we go. You can somehow get it to stick in this positioning, whether or not you like super glue it so that way it has a nice coating on the outside. Got an interesting texture to it. This side as well. Back inside. We find that spot. It's Goldilocks spot that I just like to stay in. Let's see. To do it that way would rip it. That's for sure. But still, if you had like a rope band or something like that to hold it into place, you can make yourself a rather interesting textured stand or a nice dome for some sort of D&D type thing, or tabletop. Let's see if I can. Okay, here we go. I need to fold it the other way, just to see what it would do, and now the inlets are on the outside. It's pretty interesting. I like it. What I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to slice these so that way they're a little bit pointier rather than the dulled things. Scissors. So what I do is I just cut at the edges so that way I have a finer point. I'm going to try to cut them so that way they go into those jagged points in the center part, the valleys. Okay. Oh, I like it. Exactly. Downward there. There we go. All right. So, a little bit of point here. That's what I was aiming for. This. Now, a little hard to see, especially for you guys. Here we go. It's a little bit easier. There's a thin, faint red line, a red circle there. That is a 10-foot radius on the inside, which is what I was aiming for. And then the 15-foot radius on the outside. So you can have quite a few D&D minis inside this area. So it's a little hard to see on this template. And for fun, so you can spin it around, make a different shape. cosplayers out there, this is also another way to make a crown. Sit right on top of your head. That's the underside. You can add jewels and stuff into these. Build them in with something else. Smooth them out. You can see there's little lines in there, but for me it's supposed to be this way. Which the lines don't even appear. I'm quite satisfied with that. It is a wall of ice or wall of blue fire. A little bit of flexible shape to it. Fun part about manipulating. So, that over there. I have different colored phones, so I'll actually be able to start adding in additional colorings potentially. If I start super gluing pieces onto each other, actually make a multiple piece. I have some foam, black foam as well, and green foam for archery as well. These are something that anybody can grab if they just go down to a Dollar Tree and spend $1 and get that big chunk of blue foam, identical green one. Okay, so one of the other things is I happen to have some fairly stiff foam. Chips of foam is pretty stiff. And I was wondering, I was like, some people might want to make their own wand, but don't have other materials, so you can start with making a foam one, which is just carving a rectangular tube, or rectangular foam into the shape that you want it for your handle, which this one I add that little line there, so that way or the angle, so that way I can put it in my characters and like that, and then grab it with these two. And that would be how my wizard was planning on using his. So you don't even see the handle from above, all you see is the main part of the one that would come out. Also just grab it in normal ways. And I had intended to put designs along this, going and wrapping around it to create that one shape. This is just basic prototype that I ended up doing. So what I'm going to do another one here. This has to put some math, so I'll start with that one. This shouldn't take very long, because if it's going to be a wand that you hold like this and have your thumb there, you want it to be the length of your palm, or vast majority of it at least, and then where your thumb would be along the actual tap bar. So your handle would be this section for my size hand. And then it's the same principle as a dagger. Some people like to put the one finger out, so then you have it, usually want it to be shaped to rest in the person's hand, not go too far out. You want it to be in the center of the palm, so that way they can point really easily. And then you just shape the actual casting part of it the shape that you want. So let's go with just holding it with that, with the thumb out. So I'm going to put my other thumb there as our marker. I'm going to cut the corners around this area, so that way I can have that to be where the handle is. Now I'm going to shave these corners to a point up here, hopefully as thin as possible, so I have the wand. Need to find the corner piece and cut at those angles that we love to do. Do this with all 4 corners. Now, if you're going to make a prop like this, I do recommend finding the stiffest bone that you can. Or if not the stiffest, fairly stiff bone. Alright, so that's this would be the shaft of the actual wand, and this would be the handle. So depending on how you want your handle to be shaped, you can start carving around and making it rounder. Not all wands would have a straight up actual hilt type handle, so it might just flow smoothly into the handle part and it just happens to be where you grab. So this, what I'm doing is have it to where when I'm holding it like this, it's actually about the proper size and comfortability. When I shift it to my thumb being out, it rests right on that little ledge that my palm would make there. Bam. And how do you want the shape of your to be? Do you want it to actually have a top and a bottom to where you would maybe have like a thumb divot? Or do you want it to curve to the actual shape of your hand? Because I'm going to do that with this one. I'm going to get that a little up of. That way it's actually the shape of my palm. There. I'm going to grab it. It locks in. It'll be a little harder to pull out due to that. And I'm just going to smooth out the edges. That way it will be an actual sharp edge going to where I'm grabbing. Okay, so right now this is what I have made. You can also do it I have it shaped to where it's just the shape of the thumb part, that chunk of muscle right there, where it fits in nice and smooth. But alternatively, you can shift it around and make that your finger grip. All depends on how you want to hold it. And then there's a few ways that you can do the wand. The most basic way is the straight up point to it. But you can also make them have multiple little ends at the end. It gives a little bit more uniqueness to it. It's not just a stick that they found. Maybe a carved one, so if the person is, well, I'll use my scissors on that because Blade didn't want to cut it. So what I did here is I see if you can get that to be seen. There we go. I just carved out the center bits so that way it's got this. So cinematically, when you would describe it, you would say the small mote of energy appears on the inside of those 4 little prongs, and zap zap, and that could be fireball or whatever you could say that you can see energy building in there, saying they're ready to spell. You don't know what spell was ready, but it's ready, and so you could potentially give either your teammates an indication without verbals, or even maybe have the enemy have this wand prior to your team getting it, and then giving them a little bit foreknowledge that they might be prepping a counter spell or something like that. Okay. That's how I decided to make this particular wand. So I've got the handle / hilt, however you want to call it. That can be utilized however you want. And even for a different handle or hand size person, I gave it the 4 little prongs. So that way, if you are going to start describing the way that your spells are activated, you can even say that these are together. When a spell's energy comes through, you can open up, say this is a living wood wand or something like that, and eject the magic out from the opening. Or you can just have it be there at all times. There's little 4 prongs. You can use them as an indicator that someone's holding a spell ready to action. So prototype wand just basically looks like a ice pick shiv. And then the new one, it's a little bit more detailed. This one I had intended to be held in the palm of the hand, and then you would hold it like this. This one is either to the curve of this or this. That's what I got for you guys today. We have ourselves the ring of ice / blue fire, or wall of light, I should say. And can be manipulated due to the fact that it is foam. It's kind of fun to do. And then we have the wand. We managed to make the prototype. I appreciate everybody who decided to show up and watch today. And I hope you all have a wonderful time.